Hello there and welcome back. This is another 8th grade math video. And in this video, we're going to look at addition and subtraction with rational numbers. And if you don't remember what rational numbers are, those are positive and negative fractions and decimals. Okay, here's the first one we're going to take a look at. We're going to look at adding 1/4 plus 1/2. Now, you might think, oh, this is kind of review. I think I know how to do this. But it doesn't hurt to review this process because when we start adding positive and negatives into it, we'll need to put those two processes together. The integers rules processes plus the adding and subtracting fractions rules. So let's start with 1/4 plus 1/2. Okay, so now we cannot add or subtract fractions unless they have the same denominator. So what I like to do first is look at the smaller denominator and see if I can multiply that to get the larger one. In this case, I can because I can multiply 2 times 2 and it would become 4. So whatever I do to the bottom of a fraction, I have to do to the top to change it so it'll be equivalent, but just with a different denominator. So I'm going to keep that 1/4 the same. On the top here, I'm going to do 1 times 2, which is 2. And on the bottom, it would be 2 times 2, which is 4. So now if I was going to go ahead and add those together, that would give me 3/4. So the denominator stays the same. We don't actually add those together, but we do add the numerators together. Now, what if this problem was 1/4 plus negative 1/2? So let's find out. 1/4 plus a negative 1/2. So that might change some things. What it doesn't change is how you have to change them both to have the same denominator. So I'd still multiply this times 2 and this times 2 so that they would both have a denominator of 4. That would make it 1/4 plus a negative 2/4. So that's the difference. And this is where the integers rules kind of come in. So now I would still keep the fourths the same, but I would need to do 1 plus negative 2, which in that becomes -1. So having a negative in there kind of makes things a little bit more complicated, but not so much. You're just kind of doing them you're doing two different steps and processes, but they're in different, you're doing them one at a time. Okay, here's our next one. It's 3/4 plus 1/2. Let's make it a little more interesting. Let's make that -3/4 plus 1/2. So let's do this. -3/4 plus 1/2. So again, I want the same denominator for these fractions. So since I know I could take 2 and multiply it by 2 to get 4, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do times 2 here and times 2 here. So this -3/4 is going to stay the same. On the top here, I'd have 1 times 2, which is 2. And on the bottom, it would be 2 times 2, which is 4. So then for my final answer, I would do -3 plus 2. And that equals -1, 1 plus, or sorry, and then the 4s don't get added together. They stay the same. So our answer here would be -1/4. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to take the mixed numbers 1 and 4/5, and we're going to subtract 5 and 1/2. So let me go ahead and rewrite those. 1, oh, that 1 is kind of crooked. Let's change that. 1, oh, that one's not much better. Let's try again. 1, there we go. And 4/5 minus 5 and 1/2. So right away, you might notice we're taking away more than we have. So we know our answer is probably going to be negative. Let's change both of these to improper fractions before we do the subtracting. So to do that, for the first one, I'm going to keep the denominator of 5, but to get the numerator, I would do 5 times 1 plus 4. So it kind of loops around this way. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4 is 9. So if you haven't seen that before, or you find that kind of, you're kind of rusty on that, check out other previous videos I've done on how to change mixed numbers to improper fractions. Okay, we're going to keep that minus in between. Let's change 5.5 to its improper fraction form. So that would be, we're keeping the 2 as the denominator. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So this becomes 9/5 minus 11/2. Okay, no, I look at the smaller denominator, which is 2, and I notice I cannot multiply it to make it 5. So I have to go to plan B, which is to multiply the two denominators by each other. So I'm going to multiply 5 times 2 and 2 times 5. That'll give me a denominator of 10 for both fractions. So I'm going to multiply this times 2 and this times 5, because whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. So 18 over 10 minus 55 over 10. So this is the subtraction problem I'm actually doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep those denominators the same. Keep it 10. But now I have to do 18 minus 55, which should give me a negative answer. That would be negative 37. Now, if you're not sure how I did that, again, check out some previous videos I've done on adding and subtracting integers. So we have negative 37 over 10. We need to turn that back into a mixed number. So I'm going to go ahead and put the negative here because we know it's going to be negative. 10 would fit into 37 3 times, and there would be 7 left over. So the final answer to this should be negative 3 and 7/10. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to take 8 and 1/2 and subtract 4 and 4/5. So let me go ahead and rewrite this one. 8 and 1/2 minus 4 and 4/5. Okay, now we could start by turning these both into improper fractions. I'm going to turn 8.5 into its improper fraction by keeping the 1/2. And then 8 times 2 is 16 plus 1 is 17. So I'm going to make this 17 over 2. Keep the minus in between. Then I'm going to go ahead and keep 5 as the denominator for the second one. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24. So this is what I have so far. Now I have to change them so that the denominators are the same. So that means I'm going to have to multiply 2 times 5 and 5 times 2, because I can't multiply 2 times something to get 5. So I have to do the same thing to the top here. That's going to be times 5. That's going to be times 2. Well, 17 times 5. Okay, we're going to do that over to the side because not really sure about that off the top of our head. Is 85 over 10 minus, and then that would be 48 over 10. Keep the 10 the same, and then just subtract 85 minus 48, and you end up with 37. Hey, this looks familiar. This is just like the last one, except it's not negative. That means I know that 10 goes into 37 3 times, and then I would have 7/10 left over. So that would be the final answer here, 3 and 7/10. Okay, here is our last one for today's video. We've done a lot with fractions and mixed numbers, so I'm going to throw in a decimals one here. Okay, so we're going to do 1.9 plus a negative 1.8. Okay, so if we are using our integers rules and we have different signs, that means we're keeping the sign of the larger number and subtracting the numbers. So the larger number here is 1.9. It's bigger than 1.8 and it's positive. So that means our answer to this is going to be positive. So I'm going to put a little plus there just so I know that I've already considered that. Then the second part of that is I have to subtract the numbers. Anytime you're subtracting decimals, you have to line up the decimals. So I'm going to write 1.9 like this, put a decimal right under it, my line, and then I'm going to do minus, because remember, we're subtracting these. Then I'm going to put a decimal for the answer right below that. So all my decimals are lined up. That means for the second number, the 8 goes over here, and the 1 goes over here. 9 minus 8 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So this answer would be positive 0.1. You could also take away the plus once you're done calculating if you don't need it anymore, and just say 0.1. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope to see you in another video soon.